My hair, my crown, my glory. In the words of India Irie, I am not my hair, but don't get it twisted. My hair is very much a part of me, whether it's locked, cornrowed, relaxed, covered by a lace front, or twisted. My crown deserves to be free in all of its glory without others imposing standards of beauty. My hair, my crown, my glory. Black women have endured the hot comb in the kitchen to get the kinks out of our kitchens, and witnessed our mothers become kitchen beauticians and hair magicians, endured chemical relaxers, burns, and the discomfort that comes with the straightening process. But thank God for the Crown Act, because it feels like we're finally making some progress. For too long, Black women have had to conform based on someone else's norms. But society finally figured out that Black women shouldn't have to transform. There's no correlation between wearing our hair natural and how we perform. And the reality is we have some of the most versatile hair on the planet, which can make styling it an art form. If you don't believe me, just go to a Black hair show and watch creativity and excellence in a one-of-a-kind platform. My hair, my crown, my glory. It wasn't until I did my big chop in 2010 that I started to realize Black women's hair is all the things. Being in my natural being was truly the first time I felt like a descendant of kings and queens. Yes, you heard me correctly. We are descendants of kings and queens. For the first time in my life, I finally felt seen. When I say seen, I mean seeing myself and embracing that I have the right to switch up my hair as often as I please. And if you're silly enough to equate Black women's hairstyles with professionalism, then you don't deserve to work with someone with our expertise. Our hair is professional. Braids are professional. Locks are professional. Straight hair is professional. Curly hair is professional. Extensions are professional. 4C hair is professional. Our ethnicity is professional. Our hair, our crown, our glory.
Woo! Oh my goodness. Yes, let's jump into it. Oh my God, y'all. Welcome to MJ and the Word podcast.
I am MJ.
And I am the Word. BJ Word to be exact, but my sister brought the word today. Did she not? Girl, you said so much in that piece. Like I literally have chills. And that was pretty emotional. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
So jump in. What was on your mind? Well, I think we know what was on your mind, but what are some of your thoughts? Like, where do you feel like this hair journey starts for Black women? Where do these discussions start?
Yeah, when I look at where we have been in this country, I'm gonna start with us being in the U.S. in particular, particularly the Black American women, because our experience is a little unique. But there was a time, during slavery, women had to cover their hairs, and then cover their hair, and then you look at once women started entering certain workforces, it was like, oh, you need to straighten your hair, you need to do that. We've always been told how we need to wear our hair in order to conform to other people's standards. It's not until recently where we've seen this huge, well, I will say in the 70s, we saw a lot of natural hair. We saw the afros, power to the people movement, which was beautiful. And this embracing of Black is beautiful. But this is the first time in our history where it was like, okay, we're going to put a law in place to make it illegal for people to discriminate against Black women and Black men too, who wear locks and different natural hairstyles. We're going to make it illegal to discriminate based on one's hair. And when you look at any other culture, any other ethnicity, I haven't seen any laws where they had to be protected from hair discrimination. It's crazy that, we always talk about, oh, show up as your authentic self. Well, my authentic self, sometimes I like to rock an afro puff. Sometimes I like to wear a wig. Sometimes, I want to get some box braids. That's my authentic self. So why is it that for so long we've had to conform to Eurocentric standards of beauty in order
Right.
to progress? And like I
Yeah.
said, my hair there's no direct correlation between that and work performance. So I don't see what one has to do with the other. So yeah,
Yes.
I had a lot of emotions writing this because I remember I had big burns from getting my hair pressed. And when I got a perm one time, or a relaxer, I should say, I had the burns. And it was just, it's like women should be able to wear their hair how they see fit. Yes.
Right. And something that you said is so important, and I want to point this out. I'm about to blow some minds. White mainstream America does not have a problem with natural hair. I'm gonna say that again. They don't have a problem with natural hair. Look up the definition of the word natural, okay? They have a problem with hair that is Afrocentric. They have a problem with hair that is not Eurocentric enough. That's what they have a problem with. Natural means the way it grew up out of your head. Am I right? They don't have a problem with a white woman coming to work with her hair natural. It's not even a term that's used amongst white people. Okay. But she's wearing her hair the way it grew out of her head, straight. Okay. So if she doesn't have dye, if she just gets up in the morning and she just, do whatever to her hair and it's hanging straight down the way it grew out of her head, they're not going to have an issue with that. Same thing with other women who have textures and grades of hair that is straight, okay, that looks more like that Eurocentric European style of beauty. The issue comes in when my hair looks too much like the motherland for you. Now we got a problem. So it's not just the word natural, okay, because Black women are the only ones in this fight, but Latina women wear their hair natural. Natural is how it grows out of your head, right? That's how they wear their hair. Even some Black sisters, because we know Black women whose hair is not, tight with the tight curls. It's not coily. It doesn't have that. It may just grow straight out of their hair. The fight is a little bit different, and they tend to be more accepted by white mainstream America because their curls are very, very loose, or they don't have curls in their hair and their hair is just hanging straight down. White mainstream America doesn't have a problem with that. Corporate America has a problem, and this is not just even with hair. They have a problem with things that remind you of the fact that I'm not from here originally. My people not from here. Okay. I was born here, but I'm here because you brought me here. All right. So anything that makes us look connected to our homeland in any way, that causes a problem. This is why we are fighting right now. People don't want to talk about history. They want to erase it from the books. They don't want to talk about slavery. They have a problem with our culture in general because our culture is a constant reminder that we are not treated the way we're supposed to be treated in this country. We're discriminated against. We built it and we're still being disenfranchised. My hair, I feel like, is a reminder of that to certain people. Okay. And I'm not talking about all white people. I just mean, when I say mainstream America, people know what I mean. So a white woman can wake up in the morning and come to work with her hair, quote unquote, natural. The definition of the word natural is it's not altered, right? It's not a problem for her. But if I come to work with my hair not altered, then it's an issue. Or it's not professional. What is the difference? What is the difference if I wake up and come to work with my hair the way it grew out of my head, and she wakes up and comes to work with the way the hair grew out of her head? Why is it an issue when I do it, but it's not an issue when she does it? Because hers looks more like it's more Eurocentric, and mine looks more like our homeland, and that's a problem for a lot of people.
It is. And the way we define beauty in general, like beauty standards, that's often going to vary from culture to culture. So one of the things I brought up is, I don't know if, you ever been to a Black hair show or
Mhm.
listeners, but it's something to see. It is a sight
Yes.
to see. And I love going to hair shows because we get to see creativity at its finest.
Mhm.
And it makes me think of, African cultures. Like if you look at some of the different tribes and
Yes.
some different nations and how I mean, it's so intricate. Some of those
Yes.
patterns, designs, it's beautiful. And it's
Mhm.
like, we do have some of the most versatile here on the planet. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big part of who we are. We should be able
Mhm.
to embrace our hair
Mhm.
without feeling like, oh, I feel unprofessional.
Mhm.
I feel like we are getting to a place where uh you see more and more people in high positions with locks and different natural hairstyles. So I mean, it's getting
Mhm.
there, but I mean, we still have a ways to go, like just
We
in all.
do.
Yeah, we do.
We do. You know what, MJ? It bothers me that we even have to have a Crown Act.
I know.
That pisses me off. It just like I have to literally have legislation put in place to make sure that you don't discriminate against me because I'm wearing my hair the way it grew out of my head. Are you serious? No one, who else has that struggle? What other group of people who have come to this country for whatever reason have that? I don't see Middle Eastern women having to have that struggle.
Mm,
It's similar to the hijab struggle that they have had to have, and get protection to be able to wear their hair coverings, but they haven't had to have a struggle to wear their hair this just the way it grow out of your head. Are you serious? Like, what is the United States really saying about us,
mm,
about Black people? What is the message there? Because
yeah,
to me that sounds like you're not accepting me, that we're still in this, we've come a long way, but we still got some of the same old crazy thinking from way back in the day. Because if you're telling me that I need to I need to wear my hair pressed in order to on this interview in order to get this job, or I need to flat iron my hair for this interview in order to get this job, what are you saying about me as a person? That's insane to me. So I'm glad that we have the chronic. I'm glad it's in place, but I'm offended for the reason that we have to even put it in place in the first place.
yeah. And here's the thing. And I know people have mixed feelings about Chris Rock's Good Hair documentary. I get it, but he did highlight some things in that documentary that I think it's really important and worth mentioning is when you look at our health and some of the chemical and I know we do have some listeners who may have relaxed hair. I don't want it to become divisive, like relaxed versus
Mm-mm.
that's not what this is meant to be at all.
Right.
But there is a reality, like when you do use certain chemical treatments in your hair, it can be linked to other illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been studies that talk about fibroids and the connections between
Mm-hmm.
relaxers and I'm no health professional, no doctor, but it's out there. Like you can look it up. The research is
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, and so for me, like when I did my big chop in 2010, I'm gonna go straight up with you. I enjoyed when I had like my little fade. Like I was actually going to a barber shop. He was like keeping it nice and styled. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna let it grow out. I didn't like my hair for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I had
Mm-hmm.
a little teeny weeny afro. I was like watching YouTube videos, like natural hair care. What do I do with this? Because
Mm-hmm.
all my life, all I had ever known was primarily straight hair. I was either getting it
Mm-hmm.
pressed, or by the time I got to middle school, I started getting relaxers. So I was just like, it was this weird feeling of I feel free, and yet at the same time, I don't know if I like how I look right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I still beautiful? Am I like,
Mm-hmm.
what are people thinking when they see me? And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because a lot of it was my perception, because I noticed I was getting so many compliments, actually, and a lot of compliments from white people and people of other ethnicities. Like, oh, I love your hair. I like your afro. I like how you have your little headband.
Mm-hmm.
But it was me still coming to grips with, oh my God, how do I look? Because I
Right.
can for so long, and it's not like not just saying like it's about conformity, straight hair. It's just easier to match, right?
Yeah,
And I
right.
was like, I don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Did you go through that? 'Cause
Yes, yes. Let's talk about that. Let's go there because I think that's also why, some women have not left the relaxer. And I think you pointed out, something very important. Like, I don't feel like they should be bashed for that. I think, in your piece, you mentioned all different types of hair. And I think it's so important. I mean, leave people the hell alone. Let us wear our hair however we want to wear it. And
right.
so I think that though, some women who may want to go natural don't feel like they look better with their hair in a natural state. They may feel more beautiful or more sexy with the relaxer in their hair. And I don't necessarily think that that means that they're trying to look white or that they
Mhm.
think their black is not beautiful. I don't, that gets on my nerves when people try to make that divide. But yes, I absolutely went through that because I didn't do necessarily a big chop. I let mine grow out. And the struggle is real. That struggle was real. So, and my reason for it was, the relaxers were literally killing my hair. So
Mhm.
my hair was fried, baby. I mean, because not every texture of hair can hold that type of chemical. And I was one of these every 5 to 6 weeks, clockwork. If I could push my stylists to do it more, I would, but they were really trying to tell me like, you really don't need this much chemical in your hair, but you can always find somebody that's gonna take your money and do your hair. And it was bone straight, okay. I'm talking about bone straight, but it was very unhealthy because my hair is very, very soft. um it is almost like cotton, and it's just it's I have a looser curl pattern. I don't, y'all can't, for those that's not watching on YouTube, I don't have 4C hair. I don't know what it is. I forgot, but it's not 4C. And so it's extremely soft, and I can't even put a whole lot of hairspray in my hair. It will just weigh my hair totally down, right?
Mhm.
And so for me to have been putting the relaxer in it, it was just it was just laying there. It was kind of lifeless. It was straight and it was easy to manage, but my hair was in such an unhealthy state. It wouldn't grow past a certain length. And so I started just growing it out. Who, y'all, the first time I tried, I only made it a year. I was trying to get braids and then just wear my hair, flat iron in between. And I would just look in the mirror and be like, I hate the way this looks on
Mhm.
me. I didn't like it. I felt like I couldn't do anything with it. I didn't know how to style it well because let me just say this, I hate doing hair. Like, I don't, it's not something that's fun for me. And so we have to, um explain that or make justify that for our sisters who don't like standing in the mirror doing their hair. I'm one of those people. I don't like it. Okay.
Mhm.
So after a year of trying to grow it out, getting it cut a little bit, growing it out, cutting it a little bit, trying to cut the relaxer out, I couldn't take it anymore, and I went back to the relaxer.
Mhm.
And so, because I didn't want to do a big chop because my head is shaped funny. I have a dent in the middle of my head, and so trying to go too short is just not a good idea for me. So, but the second time around, I was able to make it. I wore braids a whole lot more during that time. I still never did like a huge chop. I literally let my relaxer just grow out over time, and that's how my journey went. But there were so many times where I just did not feel pretty. I did not think I looked beautiful with my hair like that. It was puffy all the time. I felt like Mufasa all the time. It was just too much. And it took some time for me to learn, first of all, for me to figure out what is the natural state of my hair, what type of hair do I have. And then it took some time for me to figure out the right products to make it to where now I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It's easy to do now,
Mhm.
but it's not an easy thing to do at the beginning. And I think people underestimate how much of a struggle it can be for a woman,
Yeah.
to learn how to style and manage her hair when it doesn't have that chemical in it, especially when you're used to putting it in there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why a lot of people have turned to locks in particular, because
Mm-hmm.
you still have to get them retwisted, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not as, it doesn't require as much maintenance as getting up and doing the twist out and all of that work. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think it's important for people to understand that different hairstyles come with different forms of maintenance. And not everybody wants to deal with, the maintenance that comes with a relaxer, or the maintenance that comes with getting locks retwisted or braids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think it's important for especially employers to understand you need to respect people's hairstyles and the hair journey and the
Mm-hmm.
work that goes behind this, because you just don't know. You just don't know. Like for me, for example, everybody knows I love rocking wigs. I don't care. It's like my thing. And like if people ask me, I'd be like, oh yeah, girl, it's a unit. I got this from Amazon, whatever. But a big part of it is because it's a protective style for me. And I don't have to worry about doing my hair every single day. So I just braid,
Mm-hmm.
I can deep condition my hair really good once a week. I braid it up underneath, and then I slap this on and boom. Like, it just cuts down the time it takes for me to get ready in the morning, and, just all the things, right? So it's just
Yes.
easy. And that's why I say it's really important for people to just not impose what they think a person should be doing with their hair. Like, because
Yes.
you don't know what kind of time a person has. They might be a
Mm-hmm.
working mother. They might have like some breakage, some damage they're trying to recover, and they're letting their hair grow out. Just
Mm-hmm.
respect where people are
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to their hair. It's our
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's both inside and outside the culture. Like,
yeah.
I think inside the culture, we have some work to do in Black America as to how we treat other women regarding their hair. Because it's like, some sisters have their hair may not be as easy to deal with as others, right? And so
Mhm.
they will go and wear a wig. And then it's some people downing them for doing that. Oh, she got all that fake hair. Why she trying to look? Why she with it? And it's like, who said that she's trying to look like anything? Like, this may just be the easiest thing for her to do, or this style may be the most flattering on her. Because not every style is flattering on every face type. Our heads are shaped different, our faces are shaped different. Like, come on, man. So locks may look beautiful on one person and it may not be flattering to the other person. Like, can we just say that? Like, some
Mhm.
styles look better on me than others. Even when my hair was relaxed, there were certain styles that look better on me than other styles. And so I think that even inside the culture, we have to start to embrace and accept that people are going to do different things. You may want some variety, or sisters who go to the gym all of the time.
Mhm.
I'm not there right now, okay? But when I was one of those everyday gym people, I'm not about to be going through a whole lot, going to the beauty shop and stuff, because it's pointless and it's a waste of money. And I'll just be flat out honest. The texture of my hair is such that, I mean, it's frizzy and it still puffs up, but it is such that I can get in the shower, I can wet it, it'll curl up. I can put a little bit of product in it and I can go on about my day. I don't have to do anything else. It'll dry up while I'm getting ready. Not everybody can do that. And I will have people to stop me. Oh, what rods did you use? Did you twist your hair? I didn't twist anything. Like, if I had to do that, I probably would still be wearing relaxer. I'm just gonna be honest. If I had to go through that type of, I saw a sister recently and I just told her how beautiful her hair was. She said that joint was a 3-hour process. I said, like, and it was so cute. It was curly, but she had to rod her hair up in order to achieve even a semblance of the curls that the way my hair will curl up just with some water. Now hers was way more defined because she didn't have to deal with the frizz. But if I was to just sit under a dryer for a little bit, I'll be good to go. And so we all have the, different textures and different things. But if I had to wake up in the morning and if I'm messing with my hair for more than 15 minutes, BJ is already frustrated. I don't. So if I didn't have this texture where I can do a quick little wet it up, throw some moisturizer on it and walk out and be fine, I probably would be in wigs all the time, or I would just relax my hair, but just because it's more manageable, not because I'm trying to look like white mainstream America. I hate that comment. I wish we just did that. Throw it out.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and I think, you know what, one thing I do, I wonder about, because I do serve on a few boards, and, I do like a lot of volunteer work, with a lot of young ladies. And I wonder what it's like in schools sometimes. Cause I remember back in the day, they'd be like, oh, look, y'all
Mhm.
here napping up in the back, look at your kitchen. We made fun of each
Mhm.
other. Um, and so I wonder if there's been a lot of progress in schools too. Like, is it getting better? Because that's such a key time, as you know,
Mhm.
adolescence, when you're developing your self-esteem and really
Mhm.
establishing who you are. Um, yeah, that's just a thought that came to mind, because I think about some experiences I've had in school.
Yeah.
I think that was another part of the reason it took me a while to really embrace my natural hair journey, because
Mhm.
we were hard on each other. Like, girl, look at her wrap. She ain't do that right. She need to flatter her. That she need.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know,
We were
we were cruel. You could go.
Yeah, we were really hard on each other, and adults were too. You
Yeah.
know, they even growing up, like they weren't as embracing of children who didn't have relaxer in their hair, and I can remember it was not something that was ever pushed on me by my mom. She was just gonna do the best she could with my hair, and if I wanted a relaxer, she wanted to make sure that that was my decision, and it was something that I decided to do, with my hair. So I might have been 12 before I got the first one. And but there were so many people who were so much younger,
Mm,
and folks would just say really really cruel things, and adults would say things, and while we're on that topic too, like even with hair color. Okay, I can remember because I still have some color on the ends of my hair, so I am not, let me make that clear, because folks will get uh I am not totally chemical free, okay, because there's still some color at the very tips of my hair that hasn't grown out yet. So there are people who will try to fight you and say you're not natural if you don't have, you got dye in your hair, that ain't natural. Okay, we're talking about not relaxing, okay. So but growing up, people would always, and this never came from inside of my house, it was always outside, they always reference the color of my hair as looking dirty. They would say it looked like dirt,
hmm.
because growing up, your face is like, what? Because growing up, I had this beautiful tint of red hair that I don't know, it's just gone now, it won't come back. But it was like tinted red. That was just the way my hair was. And so it was what I guess they would call a sandy brown, reddish brown. And it sort of remind you of that like Georgia red clay type
Hmm.
of, or like if you see an ant hill or something and it's that type of. And so I would always hear that, yeah, she got that hair, that sandy brown hair, it sort of look like dirt, it reminds you of dirt. I would hear that all of the time. And even as an adult, I would hear sometimes stylists say, you want to get some color because your natural color is kind of ashy. That's the word that they would use. And so I started coloring my hair. And it's still this idea of not just accepting, who you are and how your hair is in its natural state. And when I look back on my pictures of the child, I'm like, that was such a beautiful color. And
Yeah.
now through all of the years of relaxing it and coloring it and using all these different chemicals, over time, and the sun changes it and all this type of stuff. So you can't see it the way that it was before when I was younger. I don't know what the you know the science is behind that, but it just made me start coloring my hair all the time. And so there were even times as an adult where even without having the relaxer, I felt like I wasn't as pretty if my hair wasn't colored.
Mm.
It was a struggle. And so that's something that I hope, to your point, I hope that has changed in schools, because a lot of the things that you hear as a child, you internalize that and it sticks with you. You don't even realize it, and it's coming out in your behavior as an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest things we need to do, with future generations too. And I will say, I think it's getting better, but just really empower them and really embrace
Hmm.
their hair and their natural beauty. I don't know if you've seen that video of the look. It breaks my heart every time I see this video, but it's like a mom and she's styling her daughter's hair, and she's a dark skinned girl with like natural hair, and the little girl was just like, I'm ugly, and to hit,
Yeah.
a video I'm talking about, like she didn't think she was
Yes.
pretty. And the mom stopped everything she was doing. And I thought her response was perfect. Like, she
Mm-hmm.
embraced her and told her how beautiful she was. But even,
Mm-hmm.
all of this is a different topic. Colorism, I know that's a different topic for a different day, but all of that kind of,
Mm-hmm.
that plays a role in what we
Yes.
have to deal with as
Mm-hmm.
Black humans sometimes. So just dealing
Yes.
with texture. Is texturism a thing? Like texture?
I don't know,
texture
but we're gonna make it one today.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know the technical word, but like dealing with texture discrimination and then all of the other different things we have to deal with. And for her to be that young,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, somebody must have said something to her to
Mm-hmm.
make her feel like she wasn't pretty, or either
Mm-hmm.
she's been watching the media or consuming something where she doesn't see herself represented in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it made her feel inferior. And
Right.
it broke my heart. And that's why
Yeah.
like we have to have representation, natural hair representation, different complexions, different shapes and sizes in our
Mm-hmm.
shows and in media and
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, because it
It's
matters.
mandatory. It's mandatory. I remember that video, and the little girl started to cry because she said, "I'm just so ugly." And I actually think that that was her stylist. I think that was the lady who was braiding her hair that day
Oh,
who took
okay.
that
That's
moment. I don't think that was her mom. If I
okay.
remember, they say a whole bunch of different stuff in the comment section, but I don't think that that was her mother. And that to me made it even that much more impactful that the woman who was braiding her hair stopped and was like, wait, we got to deal with this, now, like right now. And so I think that is so important, and it's such, whether she was her mother or not, I think that's so important. I think it's a prime example of how when these things come up and we see it in children and we hear it in teenagers and young adults, that we take a moment to stop that, and try to change that mentality right then and there on the spot. Because those are things that you carry with you. She definitely got that message from somewhere. She's too young to have derived it on her own. So that message came from somewhere, whether she is, and I gotta say this too, and obviously, y'all, we coming up with an episode on colorism, but I think that adults also have to be very careful when they decide who's the pretty one amongst the cousins or amongst all the grandkids, and they've decided which one is the cute one. Okay, I'm about to go here. It's usually the one with the curly, straight, pretty hair. She got that long black pretty hair. Da 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 da. And a lot of times it's the one who's lighter skinned.
Yeah.
Um, I think that it is so important to pay attention to the underlying message that's being passed on when you always talk about that one. She's so pretty, she's so pretty, she's so pretty, she's so pretty, oh my goodness, she's just such a pretty child. What are you saying? Just spread the love around. I'm not saying don't tell that child she's pretty, but say it to all of them, because a child can hear that and realize that you may not be saying anything negative to them. You may not be saying, well, she's pretty and you're ugly, but it's easy for a little one to get that message if every time they're around their cousin, you're always talking about the cousin is pretty and you never say it to them. So what's that child going to say? They're going
Mm,
to look at their cousin and say something about you that they don't see in me. So I
right.
think it's just so important in the family unit to make sure that love is spread around with all of the kids. Either say it to all of them or just don't say it to any of them, period.
Mhm.
It's important, you know?
You're right. It's like somebody coming over with like food for one kid, but not all of them. It's like, nah, wait a minute, wait, you don't do that in this household. Like
Right,
we
come
gonna show
on.
everybody some love. Nah, I hear you on that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think about my childhood and the role it has played in me and my hair journey. Because
Mhm.
I did experience some different things, some mixed emotions at times. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to the workforce is when it happens too, and this is where it gets a little sticky, but we do have to call it out. Like
Yes.
we have to, when we see someone making comments like, oh, you did this with your hair. And I get it, I get it all the time. And there was one point I had to tell a colleague, like, hey, this is what I like to do. I like to change my hair often. Changing
Mm-hmm.
my hair is actually a part of my identity. I enjoy this. This is fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have fun with my hair. And I think
Mm-hmm.
when I say it like that, it was like, oh, it's a part of your identity. Um, and so I think, and it shouldn't just be up to us as Black
Mm-hmm.
women, like, no, you can't touch my hair. It needs to be other people too saying,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, as an ally, like, you know what, I think BJ's hair is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do hear some kind of underhanded comment, so us
Mm-hmm.
kind of advocating for each other in the workspace too.
Yeah.
And it can't be just us in this fight. Like with the Crown
Yeah.
Act, obviously, it went all the way up the legislative level, and we had some big supporters in that. And we need to see that same support in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
We do see hair discrimination happening.
Absolutely. And those microaggressions, um, those are the ones that make me, y'all, I have to really, really rein myself in when um people come at me with those microaggressions regarding hair.
Yeah.
Okay. So just kind of putting that out there. I'm not in quote unquote corporate America right now. I am, but I'm not. I'm doing my own thing, my own business, and I'm contracting with companies. So I don't have to go and deal with those certain things every day. But when I was, and it hasn't been a long time ago, certain comments, especially when I know how you really feel about my race, I know how you feel about me. And then here you come with these ridiculous comments about my hair. It's unreal. It's
Mhm.
unreal. And there are, white women who are in this fight, who will stand right next to us with their fists in the air and are, they down for the cause. And then there are those that where we have
Mhm.
this tension regarding our hair, and the conversation can go so weird so quick, and you're standing there like, is this about to turn into a moment where she reaches for my hair?
Yes.
We
Yes.
are in 2022, and we still have to be wondering that in our mind. Like, you have gone completely left with this conversation, and I don't even know if you realize that you're in left field. And
Mhm.
if is this about to turn into a moment where you take your hand and reach for my head? And I wish that that was part of the DEI training. I
Mhm.
wish that when you come in and you got to do the anti-discrimination, can that not be part of the onboarding, especially for your administrators and the supervisors? Can that not be part of the onboarding where you talk about, how to respect people's culture and how to respect other folks' hair? Like, come on.
Absolutely. It absolutely can, and it absolutely should be, and of
Yeah.
course I acknowledge, I work in this space, so I'm very much like, when you bring people into your organization, they need to know that, what is acceptable and what's not, and what you stand for, what your values are. And if you say, now, we hear people say it, but they don't necessarily always back it up with action. But if your mission or your vision is about inclusivity, equity, access, belonging, then absolutely you need to make sure people in your organization are educated and
Mm-hmm.
understand what's acceptable, what's not, and have a certain level of cultural awareness. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, especially because, and when we look at our nation too, we're becoming increasingly diverse, and the workforce is shifting, like in terms of the demographics. So you're going to have more people with more complexions, more, different types of hair, and
Mm-hmm.
all the things, right? Um,
Right.
so we have to be proactive in making sure that we are doing things where people aren't experiencing microaggressions on the regular, or otherwise we're going to see what we've been seeing is a wave of Black women leaving the workforce, becoming entrepreneurs, doing their own thing because they're tired of
Mm-hmm.
microaggressions. I shouldn't explain over and over, it's not okay to keep touching my hair. I'm not a dog. Don't pet me. So I think the passing of the Crown Act personally was a step in the right direction, because it let the people in our country know, like, we take this serious now. And recognize that it has been an ongoing, pervasive problem for years. Now, as with any law, like just passing of the Civil Rights Act and all of that, I mean, it's going to take time for it to sink in for some people. I still think, it was a step in the right direction.
I totally agree with that. I think it is absolutely a step in the right direction for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I definitely feel like it's going to benefit us as Black women to have this legislation, but on a larger scale too, I think it's going to bring more awareness. Like, a lot of us experience so many microaggressions in workplaces, in different arenas. We experience a lot those microaggressions regarding our hair. And I think that when you have something like the Crown Act and it gets so much publicity, so much momentum, it's a lot of volume around it, it's high profile, it takes away that, oh, I didn't know, that a lot of people use, or I wasn't aware, or I didn't realize that this was offensive. Okay, well, now you know it is. You don't now at this point, it's going to take away that opportunity for people to claim ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's letting everybody know, like you said, it's giving that, it's substantiating it. It's letting you know that, hey, we're taking this seriously. And this is a problem for us. This is a problem that Black women are experiencing. And so now nobody's going to be able to say, well, I know that. I didn't realize y'all were going through that. Yeah, you. If you don't know now, it's because you didn't want to know.
Exactly.
You didn't want to know.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. I was thinking that same thing, because I mean, we weren't around with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 or whatever when that came out, 1963. I think I may be right. The Civil Rights Act. But when it went into place, I know it was the same thing. Like, oh, we didn't realize that it was, that bad. Like, you knew it was bad. You saw people getting hit with water hoses and getting.
Like, how could you not know it was bad?
Yeah.
But I was thinking about something that one of the psychiatrists that I had the opportunity to, I wasn't training directly under him, but he was working in the same hospital, and he was just a wealth of knowledge for younger people in mental health, and he was like that older African American doctor that everybody just, I don't care if you liked him or not, his position, his demeanor, his attitude, everything about him just commanded respect, right? And love, because he had that about him. And there was something that took place, and I was discussing it with him, and he was like, well, they don't know. That's why they did it. And I was like, I got a problem with that. Like, how could you not know? And he just really broke it down to me and explained that, people can be so privileged and so have their head buried in the sand and so focused on their own world that they are totally oblivious to you. And he explained to me that it takes a level of self-awareness, and self-reflection and maturity to understand the plight of someone else when you're not experiencing that at all.
Yes.
So on some level, it helped me to understand, like, how we can be sometimes just so oblivious to issues that are going on right around us, but it's everything to that person. You know what I'm saying? But then you can be so caught up in your own stuff. So when I was asking, like, how could you not know that was offensive? I'm young, I'm like ready to pop off. And he's like, they don't know. They don't get it. And he wasn't talking about every single situation, but just giving me a different viewpoint. That in some cases, it is their responsibility to know. You need to know. You need to do what you need to do in order to know. But a lot of people have not done that. A lot of people have not done their homework. A lot of people are not self-aware. They're not, they can't see past the end of their own nose, so to speak. So it's me, my fault, and no more. And because I always grew up this way, I always grew up being able to wear my hair however I wanted. I never even had to think about it. It doesn't even occur to some folks that this is such an issue for somebody sitting right next to them. You know, it's like you really have to look around. I can't even think of her name right now, doctor. I think it's Jane. She does a lot of like examples explaining privilege.
Oh, I know who.
To,
Is it
yes,
Goodall
yes,
or Goodall?
I think so. Yes, I'm so sorry. I
Um,
can't think of her. My mind just escapes me right now, but she's very popular, and she the awareness that people come to when you watch those videos that she does, where she reconstructs these experiences that African Americans, people in minority situations, we deal with every single day. And then she puts white people in these same situations, and it's like, oh my God, you know, like, what is this how that feels? Yes, yes, it is. So I think that, you know, to your point, the Crown Act is bringing that to the forefront where it's been our struggle has been silent. It's been a silent struggle. I mean, we cry out individually, but this brings unity to it and explains to mainstream like, hey, it's a problem that you discriminate me on this against me in this interview based on the way I'm wearing my hair. It's
yeah,
a problem that you think a certain thing about me based on how my hair is. It's a problem that you think that my performance is going to be different if my hair is straight versus if it's curly, or if it's in locks, or if it's in an afro. You know, I'm gonna be seen as a troublemaker if I show up. She one of those, right? If she shows up with an afro and big hoop earrings, I mean, it just brings to light that discrimination that we've been experiencing for quite some time.
yeah. And I mean, honestly, I think Black women and our hair will always be a touchy topic. I mean, we saw what happened at the Oscars. Was it the Oscars? Yeah, where
Mhm.
with Jada, Jada. And it's not a funny situation, like I hate that it went down like that. Um,
Mhm.
but there you go, on a national platform, you have
Mhm.
somebody critiquing her appearance and her
Mhm.
hair. And although, Will's response may not have been the best, I know some people have mixed feelings about that too. I think, you shouldn't put your hands on folks, but that's just
Right.
me. Uh, I don't think
Not
he was
unless you're ready
right.
to catch these hands. Don't put your
Right.
hands unless you're ready to catch these hands. That's the rule.
Yeah, but exactly. But it brought up a bigger conversation, right? Like
Mhm.
we are often subject to being ridiculed based on our
Mhm.
appearance and based on our hair,
Mhm.
and a lot of us didn't know she was dealing with alopecia.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it just,
I had no clue.
yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. I didn't either. I had no clue
Mhm.
either. So it just brings up a bigger issue, like
Mhm.
why are we always the subject of being harshly critiqued based on our appearance and our hair? So
MJ, and I know we're close to closing, but there, we've already done the church episodes, and you all please go back and listen to those if you haven't had an opportunity to. But that was such an issue in church culture when I was growing up. People would literally try to use scripture to determine how a woman should wear her hair. And if
mhm,
you
mhm,
cut your hair, that was something that was seen that was, you weren't being godly because a woman's hair is her glory, right? That's what they would always say. And my mom is a little rebellious in her own right. I mean, I don't want to say rebellious, but she's a little bit like, hey, you either make this make sense or I'm not doing it, right? So her response to that would always be, it doesn't say long hair is her glory. It just says her hair. It doesn't say if it has to be long or short, you know? So she was never one of these people like, you have to wear your hair long. But there were literally men and women, in the church who put that type of stipulation on you as though if you cut your hair off, you were doing something wrong in the eyes of God. Like,
mhm,
how oppressive is that, man? You know, and even as a grown woman, when I cut my hair, I got a lot of different opinions and viewpoints. And the majority of people, especially my age, were like, they love it, and for those that don't know me, I wore my hair shaved on the sides for quite some time and very short in the top, and it's an attractive look on me. And but some people, They couldn't understand it. That why though? What, you know, some older folks were trying to insinuate things that I was trying to be masculine. You know, there was nothing masculine about their hairstyle, but still, just because I cut my hair, wore a shave, is there something you need to talk about? Like I literally had people saying it to me as a full FULL grown woman. Hey, talking to me about cutting my hair. And so I think it's annoying to me that this is yet another area where Black women gotta be like, just let us freaking be. And we gotta say it to men, but we also have to say it to other women. Just leave me be however I wear my hair. Just leave me be, bruh.
Yeah. And you know, I remember your hairstyle when it was like that. It was shaved on the sides, and then you had like, and at the top, you had longer hair. It was cute. And that goes back to our earlier point about what suits one person may not look good on another one, but then you figure out what suits you. And once you find that, rock that and own it. And yeah, this hair policing, it just has to stop.
It does.
Stop.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
And to go back to an earlier point you made too about how do we address it, I do, because you mentioned like, do we need to do some kind of trainings or have conversations in the workplace? And again, I say wholeheartedly yes, because if you don't have that cultural awareness, and if you're not talking about what's appropriate, what's inappropriate to say to a person or do to a person, you reaching out, touching their hair, and I think we're going to continue having the same battles if we don't discuss it.
Absolutely. I think it needs to be discussed, you know, again, externally and internally. Like there needs to be some internal discussions in the culture, and then there definitely needs to be discussions on the outside of the culture as well, because it's baffling that it's such an issue for people. I've never seen, and I, you know, I give credit where credit is due. Social media does its job of showing you the most ridiculous things. Okay, the algorithm is almost set to where if it's something negative, you definitely are going to see that immediately. Right? The positive messages, they get buried for 3 to 5 days, and then they show them to your 5 closest friends, right? But so I give credit for that. But that being said, I've never seen such a huge amount of Black men who have so much commentary on Black women's hair. It's weird to me. I've never seen this dynamic, because I have always credited brothers with rocking with us no matter what we do. Like every movement we go through, they be right there like, so what? We don't care. They keep rolling, and it is what it is. But with this age of social media and people saying whatever, you know, pops in their head, it's weird to see so many men in the comments having something to say about a woman who has a wig on. Why you can't just be yourself, queen? Who says she's not being herself because she has on a wig? There could be a million different reasons why she's wearing that wig. And none of those reasons might have anything to do with low self-confidence, low self-esteem. I'm trying to be something that I'm not. There are so many other variables there, or braids or straight hair or whatever. I mean, it's an odd dynamic that we live in. And like I said, I know some of that's fake and some of it's rigged so that you see that negative stuff, but it's a weird dynamic to see, because that's where I've always felt a little sense of unity, you know, and just to the credit of Black men, I've not had that issue where, except for when I was dating a narcissist, and that's a whole nother story for another day. But personally, I've not had that issue where a man had a problem with my braids or my wearing my hair curly or wearing it straight or whatever. I've not had that personal issue with Black men. It's just weird to see it in social media.
Yeah. And you know what? I will say social media, it's almost like you got to take that with a grain of salt sometimes. You elevate the negative there. But I do feel like people, there's nothing wrong with saying like, oh, I prefer this or I prefer that. There's a way to do it, like you said, without coming off discriminatory and exclusionary. Why'd you do that? Like, you don't even have to do all that. Just be like, oh, okay, cool. She rocking a short haircut. Cool. Find somebody with long hair if you like long hair. Find somebody with short hair, natural hair. If you don't like wigs, then, I know I'm not for you. And it's,
Right.
it's like, okay, cool, bye. But find somebody who wears their natural hair. So you don't have to be negative towards
Right.
a person just because they're not doing something that you deem to be.
You, yes.
It goes back to let people do their thing, whether it's locks, whether it's braids, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
short hair, long hair, you know, every hair is a form of expression. And my dad
Mm-hmm.
always say that. He'd be like, hair is a form of expression. So you have to let people embrace that part of themselves. It's almost like art for some people. They play with the
Yeah.
colors, the styles, and
Mm-hmm.
the hair shows. So yeah, now I'm a
Mm-hmm.
firm believer. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, just let it be. Leave
Just leave it.
just,
It's somebody out here for everybody. Like you said, I definitely think people, have a right to their preferences. I don't think you have the right to drag somebody else down because they're not your preference. Like you don't have to get in the comments and be negative because this is not your preference. Just go where your preference is. But to your point though, social media is so difficult to decipher what's really happening between what's a bot and what's not even a real account and all of that. So I have to say, personally, I've not, other than that narcissistic situation, he was just crazy all the way around, but personally I've not experienced that, and that's been at least kind of comforting to know that our brothers kind of rock with us, like whatever the situation may be. I mean, I know men who help their wife take her wig off at the end of the night and hang it up on the thing, like they just be like, whatever, girl,
like,
because I think, and I brought that up because it's been such a struggle for us to accept ourselves. It's hard enough. We have our own thoughts, our own self-defeating thoughts, our own negativity, our own insecurity, and then we got the external standards of beauty that we have fought through over the years. Like it's been hard enough for us to try to accept who we are. We definitely don't need that struggle and that battle outside of us. It's internally, it's big enough as it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that we can continue to move forward and just embrace and I see Black women definitely moving in this direction as a whole. Like, you know what? Take it or leave it.
mhm.
I know my value, I know my worth. So here's what I have. And you're welcome to take this or just leave it. Because I'm not going to keep on going back and forth.
Yes, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think one of the things for me that I've found most beautiful recently is anybody who knows me knows I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I love LinkedIn. That's like my preferred, I don't know if it's technically social media, but it's my preferred platform to be on. And
Mhm.
more and more Black women I've noticed have started having professional headshots taken with their natural hair. So you're seeing like,
Mhm.
the locks and the braids. And a lot of them are even putting comments out there like, this is the first time I've ever taken a headshot with my natural hair because I actually feel
Mhm.
the power to do so now because of the crown
Mhm.
neck, right? So it's just, I think we have nowhere to go but up. I still think
Mhm.
my place has it has a long ways to go in terms of inclusion and equity and all of that.
Mhm.
To me, I think this is a great first step.
Me too. Me too. I think the biggest part of the battle, like I said, is always internal. Like you said, you have those women saying it's the first time I've ever done a headshot with my natural hair, and I think I experienced my first time doing that, a headshot, like a professional headshot, probably this year. This year was probably the first time that I did that. And then other times I've had like acting headshots that you can kind of go any kind of way with those. But as far as a professional headshot, I think this year was the first time. And it's just that embracing of yourself is such a battle, it really is, because you have so many voices and they become your own. Because those external voices that you hear, that someone telling me, oh yeah, she got that dirty colored hair, I started saying that, I internalized it, and yeah, my hair, girl, my hair is, it's the color, it's like dirt. Who does that? But we so once we step into the ring with ourselves and go toe to toe and accept what I see there myself, then is when I think we start to see these bigger movements like this, because it's like now we finally have gotten to a place where it's like, hey, I am who I am and I love who I am, period. So now I can come to you and say, look, this is it. Take it or leave it. This is absolutely good enough. But I think on some level, we are learning and have learned to believe it ourselves.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm looking forward to our discussion next week because I think this is going to be a good segue into that. It's like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. Yet we see employers, we're going to talk about it next week. We still see certain employers like, oh, can you change this a little bit? And do we want to give a sneak peek into reference? We're talking about Tabitha Brown and the Food Network. And it's like, okay, like, here's another example of them expecting people to conform in order to keep her time slot. It's just,
we're going there, y'all. We are going there. Next week's episode is no more code switching. That's what we're going to be talking about. And her story and her journey, just her essence and her presence, period, has done so much for me as a woman in terms of accepting and embracing myself. And we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I don't want to give y'all too much because I'm about to go in already.
I know, me too. I'm like, okay, you want people to show up authentically or not? Like, pick one. But anyway.
we're gonna go there. So y'all be on the lookout for that episode. Absolutely.
All right. And if you are not subscribed to our channels, I am going to highly recommend that you subscribe because we stay dropping hot fire every week, as you all know. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite Spotify, any of your favorite podcast platforms. So continue to rock with us every week. We're going to keep bringing good topics and we appreciate you all very much.
Absolutely. And wear your hair, ladies. Whatever is you, do it. However you feel beautiful, go for it. All right. Y'all have a good one.